Scholarship Fund. Having mastered playing football, he now dominates television while also finding time to maintain a 23-year marriage. He's a father to 13-year-old twins, and he's able to grade papers as a professor at his alma mater. Please welcome Will.
Peyton Manning. I mean, come on.
The sheriff is here. Hi, Peyton.
You said 5 times. You said 5 times. It was
There's nobody left.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, did you have it guessed, Sean?
I did.
Sean had it.
Quite the intro.
Peyton, first of all, I've said this a lot over the years. From the first time I saw you on a sketch program, of which I'm not going to mention, and throughout all the number of commercials you've done and things you've done, I have, and I don't want to embarrass you, Peyton, I think you're the best actor, athlete of all time.
Of all time.
Of all time.
About
Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame, awesome time.
And that's not a thin category.
It's not. It's a big category. So, and I say this not to embarrass you. Talk us through a little bit how the Manning cast. I love that you guys ended up doing it, that you're on TV every week, you and your brother.
Yeah, he's awesome.
How did that come about? What was the thing that you guys were like, oh shit, did somebody come to you, or were you like, Eli, we should be sporting our junk on TV every week?
Well, it's funny because I hate to say anything good, came out of the pandemic, but obviously there was a lot of things being done remotely during the pandemic, including broadcasting, certainly. And so I've been in talks, Will, with the doing the traditional broadcasting, right? Which I don't think people understand what that really entails, right? The Chris Collinsworth, the late John Madden, who really created it. It is go to the town where the game is on Friday, watch practice, interview the home team. Saturday, visit with the visiting team coming in, and then sit around all day Sunday or Sunday night or even Monday to do the game. And then when you get back home, you're really not home because you better be studying where the left guard went to high school and what his 40 time is. I mean, you have to know more than a quarterback would. Quarterback just has to know the defense, right? A broadcaster, you got to know special teams, you got to know the depth chart. And so anyway, that's what I did not want to do because I got young kids playing sports, wanted to be there on the weekends. My dad was at my youth basketball games, pee-wee football games, those kind of things. So that was the priority. And then, so I kind of approached ESPN. I was like, I saw the remote thing. Is that going to continue? I could get my brother. He's unemployed. I could get him, kind of into the mix. Literally, Eli, he literally thought they were joking. He's like, wait a minute. They're going to pay me to watch football with my brother from my old house in New Jersey. He's like, yes, I know I went to Ole Miss, but I'm still smart enough to know that's a good deal. I will do this. And so that's how it, the whole family will.
That's amazing.
That's how it came about. And so, look, we feel like we are at a bar or on the couch watching the game together, which we would be doing anyway, and the viewer is sitting there with us, and our guest, they have to love football. Will, that's the #1 criteria. You got to love football. And what's cool to me...
Will called in, right? I think I'm supposed to call in.
Yeah, we'd love to have all of it. I mean, now that Sean's an expert, picker of the spread.
Yeah, but Peyton, I used to play football when I was a kid.
Which is critical to being on it. You have to have played flag as a 3rd grader to get on.
No, I was tackle football.
Okay, really?
Tell us about that,
Sean, your dad watched your games. I heard through the rearview mirror, right? As he was driving away.
A lot of stuff here.
As he was driving away, Sean's dad famously left his family. But
Top speed.
What's funny is we started a Smartless during the pandemic as well, and we can't believe that anybody would want to sit around and listen to us just shoot the shit. It seems ridiculous, even today.
Right.
It's shocking.
It's just, it's different, and I think people, like I said, I think when the game's good, we're talking about the game. When the game's not so good, nobody wants to hear about the 3rd and 1 run play and what defense they were playing when it was a 1-yard game. Like, who cares? Let's talk to, Condoleezza Rice about why she likes football. So I think the cool thing about it, Will, is that there's so many people from different backgrounds. I mean, we had President Obama last year, Condoleezza Rice. Snoop Dogg is a huge football fan. He's been a youth football coach in L.A. for years.
John, do you know what Snoop Dogg is?
Yes, I do. I do know Snoop Dogg is.
But you know, I mean, it's like it just brings people together, which I think, which is a cool thing about football. And it doesn't matter kind of what your background is or where you came from.
I love football. Liverpool's my favorite team.
Oh boy.
I watch every Saturday.
And this timed out perfectly, right, Peyton? Because you staying at home, your kids are your kids 13?
Yeah, they're 12, 7th grade, and yeah, I mean,
boy and girl twins.
Like literally Monday on, my daughter has a volleyball game at 4 o'clock Mountain Time that I'll go to, and then at 5 I'll drive over to my buddy Scott's garage, which is where I film it, and. And I'm home at 9:30. So
How did Scott's house turn into the studio?
Great quick story. You know, Scott owed me a favor. When you win a football game as a quarterback, you have about 50 texts after a game. When you lose, you have 3. Your wife says she loves you. Your dad, who played, says, "Hey, tough night. I'm proud of you. Hang in there." Your other brother, who's a quarterback, Eli, "Hey, you know, some tough conditions. You know, get up next week." What you don't do when a quarterback loses is replay the game in the text. Like, you don't say, "Hey, really sorry about those 4 interceptions." "Yes, thank you. I remember. I was there. It was 20 minutes ago." My friend Scott, you know, we've all done this. Have you ever texted someone accidentally? You're talking about them and you text the person that you're talking about?
Yes.
I threw 4 interceptions against the Bengals one night. I come in, I got 4 texts. My dad, my brother, my wife. I have a 4th from Scott, who texts and says, "Hey, do you think Peyton has money on this game?" Okay? I mean, we've all been there, right? Do I respond? No. Do I know it's an accident? Yes. Does Scott call me on Thursday to say, "Hey, my 10-year-old was playing with my phone if you got a weird text"? I'm like, "All right, Scott, the fact that you blamed your 10-year-old son, now I have a problem with it." So, 10 years later, I said, "Scott, I need your garage, okay? You owe me. That was mental trauma, so I'm using your garage," and that's how it came about.
No.
Now, Peyton, do you just not have the space in your studio apartment that you live in?
Yes, it's tight quarters in there. The equipment, I didn't know this, stays there all year. I thought it was like we're going to pop in and we'll pop out when we come back in a couple of weeks. We only do 10 games, by the way. We don't do all 17. I don't want to see Eli 17 weeks in a row. Be it soon. And so that equipment staying there year round didn't excite Ashley. We were doing a little house construction, so that's why I called Scott's Garage. Eli does it from his back house in New Jersey.
Scott's got an extra man cave, right?
He does, which is not a cool word to use on TV, so we say garage.
Yeah, it's not a. Yeah, exactly, Jason. How dare you? There might be some good tax implications for Scott too. I imagine.
Scott's getting a sweet
I don't really know
appreciation.
what he gets out of it. He wants to come like before the game. I don't let him come. Let him come like twice. 2 out of the 10 games he gets to come by. Which I think is plenty.
He needs to vacate his home. Does he have children or pets?
He doesn't live there. At least that I know. He's a car collector, but that's where it is. But I think 2 games is plenty. It's good.
You got to get him on. You got to get him on.
Oh God, but he liked that. He would like that so much. He obviously likes football because he was watching that Bengals game in the 4th quarter after I'd already thrown 4 interceptions. So it's clear that he's a fan.
That is so good.
We'll be right back.
Smartless is sponsored by BetterHelp. Okay. There have been times where I knew that stuff was going on, and even though my sort of intellectually I could understand that I was going through something, it was still tough for me to reconcile things. Like I just dwell on some part of my life that wasn't amazing, and it would threaten to kind of upset the whole apple cart, if you will. And it's like that idea of do you ever feel like your brain is getting in its own way? And for me, I do. And therapy was the thing that eliminated that or helped me move through that. It's like that thing of what you should do, what's good for you, but you just can't do it. And I don't know, therapy helps you figure out what's holding you back so that you can work for yourself instead of against yourself. Give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient and flexible and suited to your schedule, and all you got to do is fill out a questionnaire and you get matched to a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. So make your brain your friend with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/smartless today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/smartless. Thanks to Vuori Clothing for supporting the show. Vuori makes premium performance apparel inspired by the active coastal California lifestyle. And, it's an integration of fitness and surf and sport and art and all this stuff, designed to work out in, but doesn't feel or look like it, which I get, and they do a really good job of that. But what they don't mention is all those things. They're not also made for podcasting. Vuori's clothes are really good for podcasting. Okay, you want to sit in a stuffy studio and you want to wear a pair of shorts that are going to feel like crap. They got your fucking nuts all twisted up. Or do you want to be in a core short? You want to feel comfortable in a short that moves the way that you move, and that as soon as you get out of this podcast that you're gonna go and you're gonna hit the streets, you're gonna work out, you're gonna be doing unorthodox stuff, railway ties and waist deep snow and bags of sand, working out. I'm not like one of these California workout guys in some flimsy gym. I'm doing real guy stuff. I'm street fighting, okay? I'm climbing trees, okay? I'm chasing bears. They're not chasing me. We've been fans of Vuori for a long time, so we're excited to tell you about one of their newest products. The men's core jogger. Hold up. It's everything you love about the core short. The same moisture-wicking, stretch-woven fabric and interior box brief liner for the ultimate in-go-anywhere comfort. But it's all of that stuff now in a jogger. You lucky sons of guns. Vuori is an investment in your happiness. For our listener, they're offering 20% off your first purchase. Yeah. Get yourself some of the most comfortable and versatile clothing on the planet at Vuori.com/smartless. That's BUORI.com/smartless. Not only will you receive 20% off your first purchase, but you'll also enjoy free shipping on any U.S. orders over $75 and free returns. Go to Vuori.com/smartless and discover the versatility of Vuori clothing. Hey, Smartless listener, this episode is brought to you in part by FanDuel. Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, New customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads and player props, over-unders, and more. Here's the thing about using FanDuel. It's a great way to bet on the things you like. And I would like to bet on some of the things that I would like. I would like, first of all, I wish we could have bet on Sean when he was on Broadway. Like, I wanted to bet on him, like, tripping and falling. Bet on him going up on one of his pieces of dialogue. Bet on him playing the wrong note when he was on the piano. That would have been fun. But anyway, if you are a fan of doing all these things that I talked about, FanDuel is the place to do it. So visit FanDuel.com/smartless and kick off the NFL season. Visit FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. 21 plus exclusions apply. See show notes for a full disclaimer.
All right, back to the show.
So Peyton, when you went, I was curious to what Will was saying before about going from, football to acting, or just kind of all around personality. What was it like to go? What was it like your first time when someone was like, "Hey, we want you to do this commercial or this thing or whatever it was, whatever the first thing," and how awkward it must have been not being an actor to kind of look at the camera like, this is bizarre. I don't know if I want this. Like, or was it something you wanted and you're like, I can do this. What do I do? What was the feeling like?
Yeah.
Said that the level of funding was unconstitutional.
Republican incumbent Allison Ball says she wants to investigate Jefferson County Public Schools after the district watched the rollout of a new busing plan. It's 55 degrees.
This is All Things Considered from NPR News. I'm Mary Louise Kelly in Washington.
And I'm Elsa Chang in Culver City, California. President Biden has been full-throated in his support for Israel after the deadly attacks by Hamas. He has described in detail how Jewish civilians were killed in the attack, and he called it the deadliest day for Jews since the Holocaust.
Israel has the right to defend itself and its people. Full stop. There's never justification for terrorist attacks.
But this weekend, the president began to talk more about the situation on the ground in Gaza.
Humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Innocent Palestinian families, and the vast majority have nothing to do with Hamas. They're being used as human shields.
We wanted to explore the shift in tone and also to talk about what Republicans are saying about the war. And to do that, we're joined now by NPR national political correspondent Mara Eisen. Hey, Mara.
Hey, Elsa.
So, what should we make of the way that President Biden has chosen to talk about this conflict? Like, what do you notice about the way he's choosing his words?
Well, President Biden is a guy who has, over time, occasionally got twisted up in his words, but this time he has been crystal clear about Israel. He's been about as forceful and morally clear as he's ever been. He's expressed firm support, told Israel they will get whatever help they want, that the U.S. has Israel's back, Hamas is pure evil. I think that reflects not only the bipartisan support that exists for Israel right now in the United States, but also Biden has had a career-long identity as a supporter of Israel. He talked about meeting Golda Meir 50 years ago in 1973. Golda Meir was the fourth prime minister of Israel and the first female prime minister. So this is something that is a long-standing conviction on his part. You just heard him say there's no justification for the attack, and in that second clip, he talked about Hamas using Palestinians as human shields. So he's trying to make it clear there is no moral equivalence here between the terrorist acts of Hamas and the retaliation by Israel.
And can you tell us more about the shift in his messaging? Like, what stands out to you?
Well, first, his message was all about Israel and the atrocities and how America stands behind Israel. This new message is much more nuanced. It's about how important it is that Israel acts according to the rule of law, to the law of war. He's also said Israel should not reoccupy Gaza over the long term. That's something the Israelis also say they don't want to do. He's trying to put more emphasis on keeping the conflict contained, making sure it doesn't evolve into a regional conflagration involving countries like Iran. And I don't think he's tempering his support for Israel, but this is a volatile situation that could get out of hand. And it's also not clear how long or if Israel can actually eliminate Hamas. That's their stated goal. We don't know how long it will take or if it's even possible. The Israeli defense minister told the U.S. Secretary of State, Tony Blinken, that this is going to be very long and very tough. There will be a lot of casualties.
Well, what about Republicans? I mean, especially Republicans who are running for president. How are they describing this conflict?
Well, they're the Republicans running for president, and then there's Donald Trump.
Right.
The big news, of course, was Trump's comments. He's been walking them back ever since, that Hezbollah is very smart, Bibi let us down, remarkable dissing of Israel at this moment, and he got some criticism from the other Republican candidates, which is very unusual, but they have been all over the map. There is a large and growing isolationist wing in the Republican Party, but also a long history of strongly supporting Israel. You have Ron DeSantis saying all Palestinians are anti-Semites and shouldn't be allowed into the U.S. as refugees. You've got Tim Scott and Mike Pence saying that the U.S. should send special forces into Gaza to rescue American hostages.
And real quick, Mara, how big of a political issue do you think this will be in the 2024 race?
I think that depends on how long the Israeli siege of Gaza goes on, how ugly it is, and if it looks like Israel is succeeding, it might help Biden in the 2024 elections. But the bottom line is that foreign policy is one of the things voters pay the least attention to.
That is NPR's Mara Eisen. Thank you so much, Mara.
Thank you.
The federal government has reached a deal to compensate migrant families who were separated at the U.S.-Mexico border during the Trump administration. It has also agreed to bar any similar policy for nearly a decade. Jasmine Garst is NPR's immigration correspondent. She is with us now to explain the settlement that's been announced today with the ACLU. Hey there, Jasmine.
Hello.
Hi. So just start with a brief reminder of what went down with these family separations.
Sure, over 5,000 families were separated during the Trump administration under its so-called zero-tolerance policy. This happened in 2017 and 2018, and in many cases, these children were taken to juvenile centers while parents were prosecuted and often deported. The stories and the testimonies are absolutely heart-wrenching.
Okay, so this settlement announced today, what have the parties agreed on?
A federal judge in San Diego still needs to sign off on the settlement. Families will get an interview with an asylum officer who will be briefed on what they went through. They'll also get work authorization and housing benefits. Earlier today, I spoke to Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas.
I have met with reunited families. The trauma does not end upon reunification. There is a great deal of healing needed, and we are committed to doing that which is necessary to restoring these individuals, their health and well-being.
Okay, so he's talking about reunited families, but there are some families that have not yet been reunited, right? Is there anything here for them?
Well, the U.S. government will continue to pay to help reunify the families who are still separated, continue to find parents and guardians who got deported and bring them back to the U.S. According to the ACLU, up to 1,000 kids still have not been reunified with their parents. Here's Lee Gallant. He's the ACLU lead counsel on this case.
The Trump administration did not keep records. The courts say it appears that the Trump administration tracked property more diligently than they tracked the whereabouts of little children. We have been searching for years for these families.
And those kids, they're just scattered around the country, living with extended relatives, family, friends, or under state supervision.
And this bar on reinstituting any policy, anything like this for nearly a decade, what do we know about that?
Well, it's a big part of the settlement. It prohibits immigration officials from imposing a blanket policy of family separation for the next 8 years. And it's not a stretch. Asked about this during a town hall back in May, former President Trump refused to rule out reinstituting the family separation policy if he's reelected.
If the family hears that they're going to be separated, they love their family, they don't come. So I know it sounds harsh.
You know, I asked Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas about this, and here's what he had to say.
My response is quite succinct, and that is that when we promulgate policies, it is vital that we adhere to our country's fundamental values, and we will not deviate from that.
And real quick, Jasmine, the families who were separated, do they get any financial compensation?
No, there have been talks with the Biden administration, but Republican lawmakers expressed outrage, saying the amounts under consideration were just too high. So this settlement does not give families any monetary compensation.
NPR's Jasmine Gartz, thank you.
Thank you.
Actress Suzanne Summers died yesterday after battling breast cancer for more than 2 decades. As NPR's Anastasia Sulkis reports, Summers parlayed her comedic talents into entirely new endeavors as an author and wildly successful entrepreneur.
Suzanne Summers first caught attention in a role in the 1973 film American Graffiti. She was on screen for less than 10 seconds and didn't say a word, but her beauty and charm were more than enough. That scene in American Graffiti got her an audition for the sitcom Three's Company, which premiered in 1977.
With the fallout, to wit, real estate. The average 30-year fixed-rate mortgage right now,
is near 7.6%. That's the latest from Freddie Mac. So we have gotten our mortgage rate expert on the phone. Vivian Geller is Chief Financial Officer at Pacific Trust Group. That's a mortgage lender here in Los Angeles. Vivian, it's good to have you on again.
Thank you, Ty. Nice to be here.
So look, what does a mortgage lender do when mortgage rates are doing what they do right now?
No, gosh, I probably should have taken a fall, but I think a lot of people in real estate, not just mortgage lenders, but a lot of people in real estate have like side hustles. So in my case, I do flip houses. So I've been concentrating on that a little more because it's just been dead quiet for the last, I'd say, 4 months, really.
So what are you going to, so let's talk about your business first. What are you going to do? Do you just wait it out?
Yeah, we don't have a choice, there's just really not a whole lot going on. We're doing a few cash out refis, some purchases. We're seeing a little bit of down payment assistance programs outside of LA, really.
Yeah.
But it's either, take up a hobby or you're going to be twiddling your thumbs. It's pretty quiet.
All right, so to your would-be clients then, the Federal Reserve has made it pretty clear that interest rates are going to be higher for longer, is the phrase in monetary policy circles. That means, like a year or more-ish of this. What do you suppose happens to real estate?
Well, I mean, Jerome Powell's made it very clear. He doesn't want inflation to go back up. So they're going to keep rates high until they feel like the economy's stabilized. Is it going to take a year? I hope not. I would say at least, 7, 8 months. And we're just going to have to ride it out. You can look at other kind of programs, like I said, down payment assistance. Sellers are doing, I'm seeing seller carrybacks. They're holding the loans for
what are seller carrybacks? What does that mean?
So the sellers, if a seller of a house is telling a potential buyer, I'll hold the loan, at a lower rate than you get at a bank.
Okay, yeah.
So we're seeing a little bit of that as well, but it is making an impact. We're seeing it, of course, nationally and in LA too, even in the city of LA where, we have our own kind of microeconomy.
Right. Are you surprised, generally speaking, across the country, that prices have not fallen farther, if at all, given how high rates are?
Not really, because everyone's sitting on such low interest rates from, the refinances that happened during COVID. So you have no incentive. You've got a rate of 3%. You're going to be reluctant to give up that rate. You're not going to want to go anywhere unless you have to.
What are you looking for? What are going to be your indicators that something has started to unfreeze?
I think if we start to see any difference in inventory, really, which, to be honest, I'm not sure that inventory is going to, open up too much. But once we start to see, more inventory, we know that housing prices will come down and there'll be more movement. Of course, rates coming down, but I don't think that's going to happen for at least 7, 8 months, like I said.
Do you even like going to the office anymore?
I do. I actually do. I'm here most of the time. I certainly come in later and I leave earlier, but anything that's priced well is going to sell, but it is quiet. Like I said, I should have taken a call a few months ago.
Vivian Geller, she's at Pacific Trust Group here in Los Angeles. Vivian, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Kai.
On Wall Street today, so look, here's what happened. Demand for those safe haven assets, U.S. Treasury bonds in particular, that fell off a little bit, which sent yields, that is to say interest rates, higher. And stocks seem to track them again, as there has been so far, as Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said again the other day, no wider global economic fallout in the Middle East. We will have the details when we do that. Title 11 of the United States Code, the U.S. Code is the collection of the permanent laws of the United States. Title 11 is the bankruptcy code, and Chapter 11 of Title 11 is titled simply reorganization. And it's that bucket into which Rite Aid reposited itself last night. The third largest pharmacy chain in this economy had been in trouble for a while, rising debt, as well as legal fees and settlements related to the opioid epidemic. It'll keep on operating. Rite Aid will while it restructures and closes some stores. But Rite Aid aside, this has been a tough year for retail pharmacies in general. Staff walkouts at CVS and Walgreens, more products locked up behind plastic barriers in stores, which have fewer hours to begin with. Marketplace's Kimberly Adams has more now on what's been going on with the neighborhood pharmacy.
The pharmacy business has seen lots of change in the last few decades. Donald Plebser is Senior Associate Dean at the University of Nebraska's College of Pharmacy and has seen those changes firsthand.
My parents were independent pharmacy owners as I grew up, and there are fewer of them now. My parents, they actually sold to Rite Aid, as luck would have it, back in 2007.
Now he prepares his students for an industry that's less entrepreneurial and more stressful than the one from his childhood. Staffing shortages have hit all the major chains, and it's getting harder and harder for individual stores to turn a profit, says George Hill, the Senior Healthcare Technology and Services Analyst at Deutsche Bank.
You've got reimbursement that's going down. As a company with a lot of debt is watching interest rates go up. It just doesn't make for an attractive backdrop for a company like Rite Aid.
Hill points out that brick-and-mortar retail pharmacies are competing with supermarkets and wholesale clubs that don't really need to make money off the prescriptions. Plus, there are new online pharmacies with lower overhead and staffing costs.
If you were charting how much money pharmacies make per prescription, it would be a pretty steep chart down and to the right, and has been for well over a decade.
All of this is contributing to more consolidation in the industry, which worries Curtis Haas, Chief Pharmacy Officer at the University of Rochester Medical Center in New York.
Rite Aid, at least in our region, has been one of the pharmacy chains that tended to maintain a presence in underserved communities.
Now, Rite Aid hasn't announced yet which of its stores will be closing, but Haas says,
I think you'll see contraction in the traditional, every corner having a pharmacy kind of things that we've gotten used to something that's going to look quite a bit different.
Which he says could also make things more difficult for some communities to get access to their medicines. In Washington, I'm Kimberly Adams for Marketplace.
Retail sales for September come out tomorrow. Closely watched would be a good way to describe how they'll be greeted. All the more so because consumers have been getting a little cranky lately. So while we wait, we have called Annie Lamb. She's one of our small business regulars. She runs the stationery and boutique shop Wild Letty up in Leelanau County, Michigan.
We're coming off of a very, very busy summer. We're kind of settling into fall, which is a little bit quieter for us. It's kind of riding that wave right now and spending some downtime, like regrouping, getting inventory back to where we want it to be for the holidays. And even though it's quieting down, there's still plenty to do. I'm spending pretty much all of my times in the store talking to customers all day, and then either before or after I'm in our office packing orders, and I would say at least 75% of the people coming through the door in the summer are tourists. And this time of year we are having a lot more conversations with locals. That's the name of the game in Leelanau County. We're a tourist area. Work with a lot of different vendors now, and we've been seeing price increases from different brands that we work with, but it's never anything that's super significant that keeps us from wanting to buy and sell the products that we have been stocking. I think I will eventually raise prices. We're a team of 7 or 8, and during the height of our season, so our payroll is our biggest cost most of the time, and being able to give my employees raises and bonuses and hopefully benefits down the line, like I will have to raise the cost of some of my products to cover that. I don't feel any anxiety as far as raising prices because it's not going to be like, oh, we need to double the retail price of anything. It's going to be small changes. Our biggest sellers are still stationary, so maybe 25 cents a card is not going to make a lot of people be like, no, we can't buy from them anymore, hopefully. Hopefully. We'll see. I just really hope that we have a very healthy holiday season, and I hope for a better work-life balance next year to, you know, not be working 7 days a week, 12 plus hours a day, that next year we carry over a lot of our great team members. Hopefully we can hire a few more and just give everyone responsibilities and tasks and roles, and I'm not running around like a crazy person.
Annie Lang Hartman, Wild Letty, Northern Michigan. Podcast, we have one. Subscribe, follow your favorite platform. Coming up,
you'll see car bodies, you'll see refrigerators, you'll see water heaters.
Turns out it's a story about global trade. But first, let's do the numbers. The Dow Industrials picked up 314 points today, 0.9%, closed at 33,984. The Nasdaq gained 160 points, that's about 1.2%, 13,567. The S&P 500 climbed 45 points. Tad more than 1% there, 43 and 73. Kimberly Adams was telling us a minute ago about Rite Aid's financial problems and its plan to file for bankruptcy to deal with billions in debt from opioid lawsuits and other challenges. Trading in that company stock was halted today, as happens. Elsewhere, though, in retail pharmacy, Walgreens slid 2%, CVS down less than 0.1% today. Bond prices were down as well. I mentioned that. The yield on the 10-year T-note rose to 4.70%. Prices go down, yields go up. That's the way the bond market works. You're listening to Marketplace.
Marketplace is supported by Palo Alto Networks. Palo Alto Networks delivers comprehensive cybersecurity protection while automating cyber defense to stop threats so organizations can thrive. Learn more at paloaltonetworks.com. And by Odoo, provider of an all-in-one management platform with a suite of fully integrated applications designed to simplify and connect every aspect of business in one software. More at odoo.com. And by Charles Schwab. Schwab believes every investor deserves to work with a firm they can count on. That's why Schwab has financial consultants ready to serve their clients, plus professional answers and 24/7 live help. Learn more at schwab.com.
Support comes from Photo Focus. You can join them and Creative Time this Friday and Saturday for The Convening. 2 days of art, performance, and discussion about land use, borders, and exchange at multiple venues. More information at photofocus.org. That's F-O-T-O focus.org. The Convening this Friday and Saturday.
Support comes from Purcell Marian High School, where students gain a sense of belonging, a Catholic community where excellence in education is pursued through diverse offerings, including the International Baccalaureate program, where students are encouraged to grow and are guided toward success. Learn more at their open house, November 12th from 1 to 4. Purcell Marian High School, where you belong.
Local support for Marketplace comes from Sheridan Convention Center, focused on creating exceptional event experiences. New for 2023 will be the Todd Portman Exhibit Hall with a capacity of up to 2,000 for dinner and 40,000 square feet of exhibit space. The Sharonville Convention Center is dedicated to making your events even better. More information at SharonvilleConventionCenter.com.
This is Marketplace. I'm Kai Risdall. So, as the days get shorter and eventually colder, a little good news heading into winter. Most American households are probably going to spend less on heating bills this year than last. That's according to the latest prediction from the Energy Information Administration. It's winter fuels outlook. It's partly because prices are down, sure. Also partly because it's looking like it should be a milder winter for much of the country. Lisa Samantha Fields has that one.
If you use natural gas to heat your home, you should be in luck this winter. Juan Alvarado at the American Gas Association says production has increased, storage levels are higher, and the market is less volatile than it was a year ago. And because of that,
prices have definitely stabilized this year. They're much lower than they were last year.
Which is good news for the roughly half of U.S. households that use natural gas for heat. As for everyone else,
with electricity and propane, those households will see similar bills to last year, and with heating oil, bills will likely be a bit higher than last year.
Joe DeCarlis is administrator of the Energy Information Administration. He says energy prices are one factor in EIA's forecast. The other is weather. And right now, it's looking like it'll be a milder winter for parts of the country, which should also help keep heating costs lower. Though, of course, there's no way to know for sure.
The biggest variable is the winter temperature. If we have a much colder winter, that can drive expenditures significantly higher.
Still, overall, Mark Wolf at the National Energy Assistance Directors Association says we're in a better place heading into this winter heating season than we have been in a few years.
It's been pretty grim. You know, first we had the pandemic, prices came down, and then prices went up and the economy started to recover. You had the war in the Ukraine, where Russia cut off supplies of natural gas to Western Europe, and then Western Europe was looking for everywhere possible they could get natural gas. That pushed up prices.
But even if everything stays as stable as it looks now, Wolf says heating bills are still high. And he's worried about having enough money for families who are struggling to pay their bills and need help from the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, or LIHEAP.
Last year, Congress provided us with an extra $2 billion for a total of $6 billion. This year, Congress has not moved on the extra request.
And if LIHEAP doesn't get that extra $2 billion again this year, he says they'll have to cut about 1 million families from the program. I'm Samantha Fields for Marketplace.
Give or take 500 publicly traded companies that are going to be reporting earnings this week across virtually all sectors of this economy. The electric vehicle industry and analysts who cover it are going to be keeping a close eye out on Wednesday when Tesla reports. In particular, they're going to be watching for the effects of Tesla's price cuts over the past year, which have put other EV makers in a tough spot as they look to compete with the market leader for EV buyers' attention. Marketplace's Henriette has that one.
For about a year, Tesla's sales strategy has basically boiled down to this: sell more cars for less money. Thanks to years of high profit margins, the company could afford it, says Seth Weintraub, publisher of the EV news site Electrek.
They're really just blowing out their market share, not letting others kind of compete in their space.
Though others are trying, including Ford, GM, Toyota, and lots of other traditional automakers. And all of those competitors have cut into Tesla's piece of the EV pie in the U.S., says Dan Ives, managing director at Wedbush Securities.
We see over 100 automakers going after electric vehicles. They'll lose some market share, but they continue to be the clear leader in the EV market.
According to a report by Cox Automotive last week, Tesla's share of the EV market in the U.S. fell to 50% in the third quarter. That's its lowest level on record, but the company still has a lot of weight to throw around. When it cut prices, it put other companies into a bind, says Seth Goldstein, an equity strategist at Morningstar.
It means that other automakers have to figure out a way to lower their costs while also cutting prices to spur demand.
A tall order for traditional car makers whose EVs, unlike Tesla's, are not yet profitable.